Hi, my name is Lynn Ramdiel. I'm in a Bachelor of Integrated Studies program at UFV. Today I want to talk to you about forgiveness. Have you ever been hurt by someone? Really hurt? How did you handle that situation? Were you able to forgive, or does it still bother you? Today I'm going to talk about why forgiveness is important, what it takes to forgive, and I'm going to share my story. Lewis B. Smedes said forgiveness is to set a prisoner free and then discover that that prisoner is you. We think that forgiveness is weakness, but T.D. Jakes said it is absolutely not. It takes a strong person to forgive. And Tyler Perry said it's not an easy journey to get to the place where you can forgive people, but it's such a powerful place because it frees you. Sometimes it's a process from being willing to be willing to then willing and then finally to be able to forgive. The Bible says in Romans 8:28, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them." And in Hebrews 13:5, God said, "I will never fail you and I will never abandon you." So let me tell you a little bit about my story. I was 12 years old and I was raped by a stranger. My mom found out and phoned the police. Then I had to go to a doctor to be examined. Now there's a lot of things that happened around that abuse that I don't have time to share with you today. But together they made me make a decision. That decision was to never think about it or talk about it ever again. It was always right there at the surface, and it affected every area of my life. Every decision I made, like the decision to become fat and ugly so that no one would be attracted to me. 23 years later, I was in Seattle at a conference to learn how to pray for people to receive inner healing. And they needed people to pray for, so I volunteered. Now in this prayer, God gave me a picture in my mind of the day after my abuse, when all the kids at school had found out about it and they were asking ridiculous questions and making comments. And I was so humiliated, I just wanted to crawl under a rock and die. But in this picture, Jesus was there. And he had the most amazing eyes. They were an azure blue. And they had ripples in them. And I was asked if I could forgive these kids with Jesus there. And I thought, well, if I don't, I'm not going to be healed. And I trust Jesus, so yeah. So I spoke forgiveness to each of the kids that I could remember their names, and generally otherwise. And when I did that, Jesus looked at me with those eyes with such pride and joy. And it felt like a blanket of love just fell over me and enraptured me. And it was amazing. And every bit of resentment that I had for those kids was gone. The next picture I got was with my offender on top of me. Jesus was sitting over in the corner with big tears rolling down his face. And he looked at me, and then all of a sudden he changed places with me. And he took my abuse for me. When the offender left this picture, I buried my head in Jesus' shoulder and I said, "Why did you do this for me? I'm not worthy of this." And he said, "My child, I died for you. This is nothing." All of a sudden I became like a balloon. I was floating in the air, holding on to Jesus' hand, and we were just laughing and laughing. Now in reality, I never saw my offender again. But in this picture, Jesus brought him to me and asked me if I would forgive him. I didn't have to even think twice. I spoke forgiveness to that young man from the bottom of my heart. And when I did, every bit of shame and guilt, rage, hatred, everything just left. It just vanished in an instant. And I was totally set free. Oh, it was amazing. So I can forgive. Catherine Ponder says, when you hold resentment toward another, you are bound by a link that is stronger than steel. And forgiveness is the only thing that can dissolve that link and free you. So today I am so very, very, very thankful for that rape. Yes. Why? Because I wouldn't have seen that miracle in my life, and I wouldn't know that total forgiveness is possible no matter what somebody does to you. And I'm also able to help a lot of other people who've been abused. Now, why do you think God would allow that to happen? Well, because He has given us a gift of free choice. God will not go against our choices. This young man chose to hurt me, and God had to stand by and watch him. Jesus made a choice to die on the cross for that sin and for every other sin by every other person, past, present, and future. In Matthew 6:14, it says, if we can't forgive others, then God can't forgive us. So let me challenge you today. If you have any unforgiveness in your heart toward anyone, forgive them now. Don't wait. Thank you for listening to my story.